It was a stormy evening when Arav found himself standing on the edge of a bridge, his hands gripping the cold metal railing. The rain drenched him, matching the turmoil in his heart. At 28, Arav felt like a failure. His startup had crumbled under debt, his friends had moved on with their lives, and his parents had gently but firmly reminded him that he wasn't getting any younger to be figuring things out. Life, he thought, had dealt him an unfair hand. As the rain poured harder, Arav heard a voice behind him. "Rough night, huh?" Startled, he turned to see an old man in a weathered coat, holding an umbrella that looked barely functional. The man's face was kind, his eyes twinkling despite the dreary weather. "What does it matter?" Arav replied bitterly. "I've lost everything. Life's decided it isn't for me." The old man chuckled softly. "Funny thing, life. It's not very good at sending memos about what's coming next." The man introduced himself as Ramesh and asked if Arav would join him for a cup of tea at a nearby stall. Reluctantly, Arav agreed. As they sipped their steaming chai under a makeshift tarp, Ramesh began to share his story. "Decades ago," Ramesh started, "I thought my life was over too. I was in my 30s, newly married, and had just invested everything into a textile business. But within a year, a flood destroyed my factory. My wife and I had nothing, no home, no money, and no prospects. I was devastated." Arav listened, intrigued despite himself. "What did you do?" Ramesh smiled. "I thought it was the end. But life doesn't work that way. Sometimes, when everything falls apart, it's making space for something better. I started small, stitching clothes from home. My wife supported me every step of the way. Slowly, word spread, and we built a reputation. That small stitching business grew into a chain of boutiques. Now, I look back and think, if that flood hadn't happened, I'd still be stuck in that factory, never knowing what I was capable of." Arav stared into his tea, the warmth seeping into his cold hands. "But what if things don't get better?" he asked quietly. Ramesh leaned forward. "Life isn't a straight road, son. It's a winding path with sharp turns, and you can't see what's ahead until you walk it. The moment you judge life too soon, you miss the miracles waiting just around the corner." Those words stayed with Arav long after the rain stopped, and Ramesh waved goodbye. That night, instead of wallowing in despair, Arav opened his laptop and revisited his failed business. He listed every lesson he had learned, every mistake he could avoid in the future. He realized that failure wasn't the end. It was a lesson, a stepping stone. Months later, Arav launched a new venture. This time, he was smarter, more cautious, and deeply aware of the resilience he had gained. It wasn't easy, and there were days he doubted himself. But he remembered Ramesh's words and pushed forward. Years passed, and Arav's business thrived. On a rainy evening, much like the one he had almost given up on, Arav found himself mentoring a young woman who had just lost her job. As she poured out her fears, he smiled gently and said, "Life isn't done with you yet. Never judge it too soon. Life often feels unfair when we face setbacks, but those moments are not the final chapter. They are just a pause, a chance for growth, and a reminder that the best stories take time to unfold. Never judge life too soon. You never know what miracles lie just beyond the storm." Did you enjoy this story? If it touched your heart or sparked inspiration, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to our channel for more uplifting tales. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you more stories that matter. Stay tuned for the next chapter of life's lessons.